welcome to the Metapod, the Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta for 100 episodes. Sean,
right.
We've done it. Well, I mean, this episode still could like crash and burn and never go out to the public. But if you're listening to this podcast today, then we've made it.
Yeah.
100 episodes in. How does it feel, Sean?
It feels great, Jake. It feels excellent. Hold on. I want to find an audio thing that you won't hear, but I have all these audio things on my stream, and I'll just I'll play this and the listeners can hear it.
Oh my god!
And when you edit this, Jake, you might hear it.
That was so funny. That was great. I 100% know what's going on.
Yes. So, yeah, there we go. That's how I feel about 100 episodes.
I feel pretty good about 100 episodes. 100 episodes of good times and good fun, including this one, which we got some things to talk about today. A lot of stuff has been revealed lately in terms of the Pokemon Go set. We're not going to talk about the cards yet, because we usually like to talk about the set review is when we try to talk about the cards. But there's a lot of cool looking cards in there. There are some cards that are getting some people excited about competitive, especially the Radiant Pokemon. Sean?
I mean, I will say this: I know we're in the intro, but like, you see all the leaks? They put Pokemon Go cards in the Astral Radiant set, apparently.
I also saw. Okay, so like, this is wild to me. There was a leak that was like, you know how like hollow patterns kind of bleed sometimes in like the old cards. There was like a V print bleed on an Astral Radiance card, and they were able to find out one of the unreleased or unannounced V cards. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Snorlax V?
I think it was.
Might have been.
But if you look on like PokeGuardian's Twitter, this is where I found it. They tweeted like that this person had sent them this image about how like a V had bled through or something. And you can like, if you look at the reflection in the light, like you can kind of start reading it and like see its attack costs and things like that. And it's like, there are a lot of errors, and like the print quality has slightly like gone awry the last couple years at times, but that is the most wild print error I think I've seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming off of the acquisition of Pokemon of Millennium Print Group here in the US at least. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how much these issues keep happening over time, but I don't know.
It's like, it would be one thing if it was like a card from that set. Like if it was a card from Astral Radiance that bled on, I'd be like, okay, yeah. But it's a different set being bled on. So that's like the most mind-boggling thing to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, if I ever owned a card like that, like I would never get rid of it. You know, it's like one of those like super misprinting cards where it's like half of one card and half of the other, and people are like, I hate this card. I'm like, I love that card. Like, well, I'll take it.
I mean, the fact that people collect misprints and the misprint can only have like a little dot in the corner. Yeah. And I'm like, this is like another level of misprint.
Yeah, like there's a Ditto from, I can't remember if it's like base set or jungle. It's like one of the first sets. I own like two of the Dittos, I think. But one of the energy cost fighting energy cost is actually turned sideways. So like the fist is not turned up, it's turned like to the right. And it's like, it's really, really cool. I love it. It's such an insignificant, like you wouldn't know it unless you were like really looking for it probably. But the fact that I like have one and I was able to dig up in my old cards, I mean, it's not worth anything because it looks like a 12-year-old took care of it, you know, but like, I still think it's really, really cool. It's got a lot of value to me.
Yeah. Well, Jake, 100 episodes. Okay, so we're talking about some news today, but we're also reading the Q&As.
Yes, if you didn't hear last week or you didn't see us tweeting or me tweeting a billion different times about it, we had a Q&A form that you could submit questions to us. You know, you didn't have to you didn't have a limit on your questions. You could submit more than one question. Some people did submit 2 questions in this, which I mean, we're totally okay with. And then also, I apologize for not apparently you had to have an email address. I tried to change the settings so where you didn't have to have it, but I couldn't figure it out. I'm too boomer. I'm getting old now, Sean. I got a full-time job. I got dental insurance. Like, I can't figure this out.
You have dental insurance, thus boomer.
Yeah, that's labeled boomer now. But we're very excited to get to that Q&A and also the other news that is coming up here in the Pokemon trading card game sphere, whether you're collector or player. But before anything, Sean, you can't do a 100th episode without a lovely, lovely review from our listening fan base. Do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
I have it pulled up today. I can read it
All
today.
right. I was going to say, I don't remember the last time you read one.
It's been a minute. But this one is from Ryan Carey. It is on a YouTube video for our 98th episode, I think it was.
Yes.
And Ryan Carey posted, "Love this podcast. Listen to it each week and look forward to it. Only got into the TCG November last year, and this podcast has been good to know what's coming out and what the meta is. Keep up the good work, guys."
Ryan, first of all, I love your Lupin the Third profile picture. It's an anime reference. I can trust you as an individual. But second, this is going to be great for you. This episode is going to be great for you because we're actually talking about news that players who started during the pandemic, started listening to the podcast or started playing or collecting. There's going to be some big news for you. Some stuff is coming back now that IRL events are coming back, the regionals, SPEs, things like that. Now we're starting to see more local stuff at this point now, Sean, because heading into our first piece of news, Pokemon leagues have returned now in certain areas. This may not be true to every single league, but before the pandemics were going on, you used to be able to go to weekly Pokemon leagues and play Pokemon events, cups, challenges, things like that. We talked about cups and challenges on this channel and in this season. News that have come about that. And honestly, local leagues is one of my favorite ways to play. Honestly, I love, going and just hanging out with other people and playing Pokemon. That's big reason why I love the trading card game. And this is in the USA region. It's also in regions of Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, and Dominican Republic is where the email was sent to organizers about Play Pokemon Leagues coming back. And it's starting in the USA on June 7th. So by the time this episode releases, you could go to your local league, Sean.
Yeah. So, Jake, I read this and I'm like, it's cool that there's that they're basically saying, hey, local stores, you can officially play Pokemon again.
That's the key word.
Officially,
that's the key word.
Yeah, the vast majority of stores, at least in the U.S., either were already doing this or had just abandoned Pokemon entirely. They, meaning people were already playing in store. Like Full Grip Games, as a great example, was already doing their pre-releases for the last several sets. So, people were doing this. But the one thing I will say, Jake, that I am realizing now, if you are a store that started up and during the pandemic, or after the pandemic started, and you were a store that didn't have cups and challenges, in order to be eligible for cups and challenges, Jake, you actually have to show regular attendance at leagues to the Pokemon Company in order for them to then approve you for basically CP level events. So I actually think that this signals that they're giving these stores enough time to go through the program, apply for league challenge status, and get approved for league challenges before the next competitive season starts. I
would 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with you there. I mean, personally, I don't know how long it takes to become a league or to go through the process. I don't know the requirements because I don't have enough time to run and organize my own league. But I do agree with what you're saying of how now that they're bringing back these official leagues back, it's going to give a lot of stores an opportunity to be able to host events in the future for actual CP, which in my opinion is just really good for the game, really good for grassroots competitiveness, local stuff. I don't have to drive. I mean, I don't mind driving 5 hours to Full Grip Games in Akron, Ohio, but I can't do that every single week. So if a store could open up around me and start doing weekly league, that would be awesome. But another great thing about, Pokemon League coming back is, there's exclusive promos that only come through the Pokemon League. And so a couple of those promos include like Quick Ball, the Shady Dealings in Teleon as well. They released Cinderace and Rillaboom at the same exact time. And so it's super awesome, and I love League. It's a ton of fun again, and if you get the chance to go, I highly recommend that you do that. And if you want to find out places that you can go to, let us tell you about this website. So we're going to include this in like the show notes, the YouTube description, and anything. But Pokemon has this function, this website where you can actually look for official events in your area. So if you go to events.pokemon.com/en-us/events, again, link will be in the description. You're going to be able to go. Are you at the right website, Sean?
I mean, it says keep on our.
No. Go to our notes in Discord.
Oh, okay. There we go. Hold up. I got you.
So anyways, if you go to the link that's provided in the YouTube description in the show notes below, you're going to go to this page for events, and you can type in your city, postal code, different things, and have different filters on it as well. So I'm in Kentucky, so let's just say Lexington, Kentucky, since that's one of the big cities. I would type in like Lexington, right? Go to Kentucky. Sean has typed in New York. He's typed in his area, and you can use different filters like, okay, I don't want to drive any more than 25 miles, 50 miles, things like that. I maybe want to go to a video game Pokemon League or event. I want to go to a Pokemon Go one. I want to go to a trading card game one. Or maybe I want to go to one that specifically happens on Tuesdays. So you can say, the 7th, specific days, and you can go to the different types, CP events, League, and it'll show you all the places in the area that are holding official League events, things like that. What the store is called, the location of it, how far away it is, etc., when it starts, and then you'll be able to go to that. So that's how I found my leagues around me when I came back from the North American International Championships. I just typed in Indianapolis, and boom, I found my local league comic book university, and it was awesome. Yep. I mean, I love the people there, so definitely recommend it. And also, if you're doing a grind too when events come back, so like cups and challenges, that's a great thing to find, cups and challenges, in my opinion. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say, if you use that site, and if you know any of your locals and they're not showing up on there, tell your locals. Just be like, yo, make sure you put yourself on the list, because that's how new players are going to find you. So that way, when your locals does have challenges and cups, you actually hit the number of players that you want or need or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, you hit kind of those requirements, and more competitors, and I can't remember if it's cups or challenges. I think it's both. More competitors can mean more points, I believe so, right?
I don't know about that, but it is important. Like, if you have a store that is wanting to do challenges, you have to have a certain number of players every week. So just tell your store owners and the people who run the events, if you're at your locals, if they're not on that list for whatever reason, just be like, hey, that list is open back up, and they'll get themselves on that list. But yeah, amazing tool.
In my opinion, locals are more fun when more people show up. So yeah. If you find a store that you like, go to it. Anyways, Sean, that's Pokemon competitive talk. But for collectors and maybe even players alike, this actually went up on the Pokemon Center website the other day for pre-orders. So Pokemon TCG, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box Plus. Elite Trainer Box Plus, Sean, for the upcoming Pokemon Go set. In here, there's a lot of great stuff. 12 Pokemon Go TCG booster packs. I think this is probably the product that is going to have the most packs that you can get at one time.
Yeah.
For Pokemon Go. Like, I think the regular ETBs will have 10 I think the special sets usually have 10, and then regular set ETBs usually have 8, right?
Yes, exactly. It's 10 and 8,
Yeah.
so 12 is pretty wild.
And plus, it's not like Celebrations. You know, Celebrations, you got like 4 cards in a pack. Like the Pokemon Go set has 10 cards like you usually would in a regular set. So, I mean, you're going to get a ton of cards in this. And alongside the 12 promos, or I'm sorry, the 12 packs that you get one full art foil promo featuring Mewtwo V. So Mewtwo in general, very popular Pokemon. You know, you've seen this with the stained glass Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres GX, the Charizard V. You know, those cards exclusive, the EV VMAX, like exclusive to that Elite Trainer box. So if you want that Mewtwo, this is how you're gonna get it. 65 card sleeves of Mewtwo, which you can see in the product listing if you go check that out. A deck box featuring Mewtwo, which I actually think is really, really cool, because if you look at the product pictures, Sean, if you look at the product pictures of the deck box, I think it's a double deck box.
It does.
Like they gave out at Worlds.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that.
If you don't know what I mean by double deck box, I mean like it's basically 2 regular sized deck boxes side by side, and you can put like a deck on the right side and a deck on the left side, so you can have 2 different decks in your deck box. And I think that's really, really cool, especially with, you know, all of these grassroots events too, hosting weekend events like a standard day 1 and a GLC day 2. You know, that's really, really cool. If you want to go to a regional or something, GLC is all over in side events as well. So you can bring your standard deck, you can bring your GLC deck, right? You could put them in the same place, and you don't have to worry about like, well, I mean, if you can still lose it, because you could just lose the deck box, but it keeps everything contained in the same spot, you know?
It is cool. I mean, like as far as like ETBs go, like your Elite Trainer boxes, this one seems to have the most stuff of an Elite Trainer box I think I've ever seen.
I think so too, and I think it's specifically because like of that deck box, but also like Sean is pointing out here, you get 6 metal damage counter dice, right? Not the regular
plastic.
What is the
It's
plastic?
just plastic, yeah.
Yeah, not the plastic die. You get metal damage counter dice. So that is really cool with the numbers on them. But that's not the only metal things that you get in there that's usually plastic and other ETBs. You get some pretty sweet coins, and then also 2 metal condition markers, the burn and poison. So, I mean, again, pretty freaking cool in my opinion. The coin, I don't think it's a great picture of the coin, but that's just because of, you know, lighting. But
yeah,
I have a feeling like seeing that coin in person is going to look really, really good.
Honestly, I don't normally pre-order ETBs. I usually don't buy ETBs at all, personally. But like, I might get 1 or 2 of these just because the metal dice, the metal damage counters are cool as heck. The metal poison and burn also very cool. Yeah, and the fact that you get the Mewtwo V, I'm just like, well, shoot, I get like 3 of these, and then I have my Mewtwo V effectively like kind of a playset.
You do have a purchase limit of 4 on the Pokemon Center website. It's $65, so if you, I mean, it is a little bit more expensive than a regular ETB, but like you're getting a bunch of other stuff that we just talked about, and some of that stuff is upgraded. So I don't know, like I feel like $65 for this, kind of, I mean,
I'm down.
Worth it. I'm a little bit skeptical though of this deck box, a little bit. I mean, I was hype a little bit, and this will be one of the things that will or that I'll mention. So the Juniper Tournament Collection box, I teased all of the Metapod listeners. I said that I was going to open one up and put it on YouTube, but the mic was bad in the video, and you know, with opening things you only get 1 shot, so I kind of had to scrap it. But I will tell you, one of the things about the tournament collections is the deck box that comes with it, and it's a good quality deck box in terms of how it's like the material it's made of, durability purposes, things like that. But you know what is up with the deck box, Sean?
What is up with the
it cannot fit a 60 sleeved card deck. It does not fit an entire 60 sleeved card deck.
Well,
and I don't know, maybe I don't. So like it can do unsleeved, but like this is a 60 card sleeve deck. These are Dragon Shield matte sleeves. I tried to put it in this deck box. It's over in this like closet thing in this cupboard, so I don't have it on me right now. But I tried to put it in there and it wouldn't fit. But if I had a deck that had 50 sleeved cards and 10 unsleeved cards because they were in another deck or whatever,
because you're a monster.
It fit, but it was tight. And so that's my one worry about this deck box, is that it's not, because like the deck box doesn't have like dimensions in it. It's only dimensions of the ETB. Like I'm afraid this double deck box is going to just be a 30 on one side, 30 on the other side, single double deck box, if that makes sense.
Jake, if that's what it is, that's insane. That is insane.
If that's what it is, like I'm mad. I mean, I'm so mad. Like I was really, I mean, like the YouTube video is lost forever of the tournament collection, but I was so mad at it. Yeah. And also, can we talk about the promos in the tournament collection? I showed Sean this the other day, but
yeah,
I'll put it on screen for the YouTube and Spotify people. I'll like plop it on the screen. But the Marnie collection promos that you get in there. So you get the Marnie full art, which is awesome. It's grand. It's super, super cool. And then you get the Marnie art of her like smiling. It's like the unique art. It's her on the bed smiling with Morpeko, all that stuff. And that's like a big reason why like I wanted one of those, but I never got it because they're like $80 resale value. It's not worth it to me. But anyways, so with the Juniper, I was expecting, you know, the design of the what it shows like on the deck box and on the sleeves and stuff, her looking in the sky with Minccino on the tree stump and whatever. And do you know what it was, Sean? Well, I showed you this last week, but you know what it was?
Go ahead, Jake.
It was a regular, the same art of Juniper that was printed in previous sets. The same exact art. The only thing that was different was the hollow pattern, which I like that it was a different hollow pattern. Like, sure, it wasn't the exact same card that was printed, but what happened to like using the art on the package on the... I was so mad. I was infuriated. I was fuming. I'm still fuming right now. But Sean, we got to talk about happier things before I have a hernia. Sean, we got to get into the meat and potatoes of the 100th podcast episode of the Metapod podcast. You all, for the 50th episode, we did a Q&A for that, and you all really seemed to like it. You left a bunch of questions, and so we're like, you know what? For the 100th episode, let's do it again. You know, 150 and 200, we could do something else, but for the first 100, let's do another Q&A for you all. And you all left some good questions, and you all left a lot of questions. So, Sean, how do you want to do this? Do you want to alternate between us? Do you want to...
I think we can take every question, and unless it's a question directed at only one human, we could both answer it.
Well, yeah, we can both answer. I did morph some of people asked like the same question or relatively the same question, so I kind of mushed a couple of them together, but everybody's name who put their name in will be shouted out, so do not worry. But do you want to ask the first question, Sean?
I will. This one comes from James Sims, and the question...
This is a good lead-off question.
Yeah, the question will divide this podcast forever, I'm sure of it. Is a hot dog a sandwich, soup, or salad, and why is it a popsicle?
See, first of all, I don't think it's a popsicle.
No.
See, if we're going to talk about hot dog being a cold treat, I think it's more of like a dilly bar, right? Because a dilly bar is like chocolate outside, ice cream middle, right? And a hot dog is like the bun outside, hot dog in the middle. So, like, if you really want to get technical, a hot dog is a dilly bar, not a popsicle.
I mean, if you really, really want to get technical, a popsicle has a stick in it, and a hot dog does not. Now,
see,
if you wanted to call a corn dog a meat popsicle, I could get on board with that.
See, now that corn dog is a true dilly bar.
Yeah.
Right?
So
it's like literally the same thing.
So this is where I'm like, popsicle? No, it's got no stick up its butt. But
I will agree that a hot dog is a sandwich.
This is a tough one. Because it's not a sandwich in that a hot dog is not is not considered like open all around the edges, right? A good, like, it's weird if if you have a hot dog where the two buns are completely separate, you're a monster. No, one part of the
Well,
bun.
what happens when you have a hot dog and you have crappy bread quality because you buy the cheapest buns out there and you stick the hot dog in or the bratwurst in, right? And it just you smush it together because you got to get the whole thing in your mouth, right? And it just breaks. The bottom breaks. And
That's what I call.
Therefore, you have airflow.
That is called a broken hot dog, not a sandwich.
That reminds us when I think at the 50th, Mellow Magikarp asked if Pop-Tart was a ravioli.
He did. He asked us that early on.
I don't know if James you just did a callback to the 50 episode Q&A, but that's what that reminded me of, and I was like, we have to lead off with that question. I promise a lot of these questions have to do with the podcast and the Pokemon trading card game. They do. I just want to get these fun ones out of the way quickly in the beginning. So I'll read the second one from Lord Agwin. Is this a reference? I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyways, from them, the question is, do you play Pokemon Unite, and who do you play? Sean, do you play Pokemon Unite?
I don't.
Unfortunately, I don't play Pokemon Unite either, but what I will say is I played enough when it first came out that I was able to have enough of the in-game currency to get Rowlet as soon as they released Rowlet. So I played in the beginning. I gathered up a little bit in case they released a character I really, really liked. Deleted the game once they announced Rowlet. I got the game back, downloaded Rowlet, deleted the game.
I downloaded the game only to purchase a Rowlet and then delete the game again. Thank you.
I mean, I do that for a lot of games. Like Valorant is a really good example. So like I watch Valorant a lot. Like I love watching Valorant gameplay. I hate playing Valorant. I just can't do it. But they just released a Pride Month collection where they have like a bunch of banners and attachments and whatever that are like Pride based. And it's completely free. Like you didn't have to pay any money for it. You just had to have a Valorant account. And so I downloaded Valorant again. I logged into my account. I grabbed the Pride collection and then I uninstalled it. Like that's just how I roll sometimes, you know?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
I'm a collector, Sean.
Yeah, clearly. Okay. Jake, do you want to read the next question while I'm going to do a quick little thing because I see a question coming up in the future and I want to prep for it.
Okay. So this question is from Redfield85. Redfield, an excellent, wonderful, active member in the Pokemon community. Actually didn't do too bad at New Jersey Regionals recently. I remember they were posting in our Discord they love playing Corviknight. So if you could have at least one legit IRL Pokemon, who would you choose? No legendaries, etc. So no legendaries, mythicals, things like that. Got to be a regular Pokemon, but it'll be one that is with you 24/7. And there's a clause in here that I'm not allowed to choose Rowlet.
Okay. That's fair saying that you're not allowed to choose Rowlet because we all know who you would choose.
Redfield knows me too well. That was too easy of an answer. Now I got to think. Sean, what would you choose?
I mean, part of me wants to go with Metapod just because the podcast. But Metapod is definitely not very cuddly, right? So
it's like a rock.
As somebody who owns cats, I might choose Meowth, to be honest, because I think Meowth could be also Meowth makes gold. Like he has an attack that literally is making money. And I'm like,
payday.
Yeah. And I'd be like, yo, give me a Meowth with payday. And I'd just be like, okay, we don't need
like illegal, Sean? Isn't like making money illegal?
I mean, it's illegal to make American currency, but if he's making other money that I can somehow sell, why would I say
make like
no?
the yen? What are you trying to make?
I don't know. I mean, look,
the yen's not very good right now. If you're just making yen, Sean, it's gonna make it worse.
I mean, it's at least worth something in its metal value, right? Is it real gold? I don't know. It looks like gold. I'm just saying.
If Sean ever moves to an uninhabited island and leaves the Metapod and goes dark, you know exactly what happened, lovely listeners.
Yeah.
If I had to choose a Pokemon, I think I would choose Ditto.
Oh, Ditto's cool.
I think I would choose Ditto because one, being able to copy things is like really, really cool. And Ditto could like do whatever. Like, we could be whatever we wanted to be. We could be a Rowlet.
Well, but here's the thing, Jake. If you choose Ditto, what if you're in a world where that is the only Pokemon that exists, is your one Ditto, and then it can never become anything else?
You know, I'm still okay with that because I was that kid that had like, do you know those like cylinder squish roll things? It had like almost like watery liquid type stuff, and you could put your fingers through it. Like it had. Do you remember those?
Is it those stuff that you could make noises with too?
I don't
know.
I
Maybe
don't
it's
remember if you
different.
can make noises,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is like something like a silly putty Pokemon or something like that would just be awesome for me. Like I would, so like if Ditto can't transform, that's fine. But if Ditto could transform,
If Ditto can't transform, you're sticking your finger in him, is what you're telling me.
well, I'm like mashing Ditto up, like I'm massaging Ditto constantly, you know?
Is you
There's no fidget spinner Pokemon, Sean. You gotta do it somehow.
Oh, there probably is a fidget spinner Pokemon, and we're just not remembering.
I guess you could do like Clink Clank.
or like you could do
kind
Clef,
of, they're
you could
like
do Clef
gears.
Key. Imagine like I'm gonna do Clef Key. Why?
Oh yeah, Clef Key, because it's a key ring, and I'm the type of guy, you know, with the key ring that was just like flipping around. You know, maybe I do Clef Key. Actually, I would not do Hatterene because Hatterene's Dex entry says it spontaneously attacks anything that when it senses emotion or something of the sort. I highly encourage that you look up Pokemon Dex entries. It's actually really fascinating, some of them. Sean, do you want to do the next question?
Yes. The next one is, do you have any memories from collecting Pokemon as a kid? And then follow up, how did your love of Pokemon start? Jake.
So I started collecting Pokemon cards. I think this is how I got into Pokemon. I had like a babysitter growing up who would like show us the cards. Like I never remember like opening up booster packs as a kid, like not until I turned like 19 or whatever. And so all of the cards that I had were all secondhand from him. And so like he would have them, and then a new set would come out and he would get new Pokemon cards, and he'd give my siblings and I the old ones. And so that's kind of what started it. But what really started it was when he let us play Pokemon Red on his Game Boy Color. He brought his Game Boy Color one time, and he let us play Pokemon Red. And so I fell in love with it. You know, my parents ended up giving me the silver Pikachu and Pichu like exclusive Game Boy Color.
That's
I
cool.
still have it. It's actually in this cupboard here. You can't see it, but it's in that cupboard. And it still works. I still play on it, but they got me that and Pokemon Silver, and I just became a huge Pokemon fan after that.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you still have those memories, like those objects. That's
There,
cool.
I've gotten rid of a lot of things that I regret. Mario Kart Double Dash being one of them. Highly regret ever getting rid of that game because now it's really expensive and I want it. But I'm so happy that I, even through my rogue teenage, I'm too cool for this years, I still kept that Game Boy Color.
That's cool. I mean, for me, I'll start with how my love of Pokemon started. I was in middle school, like early middle school, when Pokemon Red and Blue came out. And that, like, I had a few friends at school who got into it, and then I got into it, and I remember, like, I was at that exact moment in time when people would, like, whisper about, like, oh my gosh, did you know there's a glitch in the game? And it's like the glitch, you remember this, the glitch Pokemon that you could catch, but if you caught it, it would corrupt your save file, and, like, so it was a lot of fun, though, like, having, like an early era zeitgeist of Pokemon as the game, and then you're like all playing it with your friends, and everybody had it, and it was really cool.
I have a this same babysitter, he gave us Red and Yellow. He had copies of Red and Yellow, so I got Red and my sister got Yellow because my brother was too young. Like he was at daycare and stuff, so he's never with us with this babysitter. But I remember that eventually, like, I brought it to one of my grandparents' house, and I brought like my Game Boy Color and stuff, and he's not my cousin, but like Godfather's not my godfather, like one of our godfather's sons. So he's basically like family. I just can't remember the exact term of what it is. But anyways, he actually had an unofficial Pokemon guidebook for red, blue, and yellow. And I actually still have that book. It's in, I think it's in another room. Or no, it's in there. But anyways, in the back it has like the glitches and stuff where you could, if you cut down a tree right in the game and then you save where the tree is and you reload the game, you'll be standing on top of the tree, like where it says where the secret items are. It says how to get like over level 100 Pokemon by using like dig and fly in the Safari Zone. You could go fishing in the statues of the gyms. Like it had all these like cool things. And so that was like another part. That guidebook itself was also another reason like I got head over heels into Pokemon, because like I know red, blue, and yellow now, like ins and outs because of that guidebook, because I just kept replaying that game and I kept using that guidebook, replaying that game as, man, I could go on forever.
I would say for our younger listeners, it was a completely different world back in the like late 90s, where it was like the way that you found out about these things was like guidebooks that some random person wrote, or like, you know, your friends at school. Like there was no YouTube, like there was no, I can't watch this video of like all the secret tips and tricks of whatever.
Yeah, you can't watch streamers, you know, the night before the game releases start playing because they switched their Nintendo Switch to Australia, and so they got to download it like 12 hours early. Like you didn't have that stuff when we grew up, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners as well will have that same, you know, sentiment towards that.
In terms of collecting, like memories of collecting as a kid, I have a lot. I would go down to the local sports card store where they had the Pokemon cards. My parents were very kind and would buy me stuff, and it was great. But I will say, Jake, I'm gonna show you. I don't know if you've ever seen this video of me.
Whoa, hold on, that's you.
That is me in the year 2000 opening a Japanese box of Team Rocket.
Oh man, I'm sorry to say this, but you look like a nerd.
Oh, I was a super nerd. I was a super nerd, Jake. I'm gonna play like a couple seconds of this with the sound off.
I brushed my brother's hand away.
On the outsides.
Oh my god, you can't hear it, Jake, but
Close-up footage of the Team Rocket box.
Can I have this on packs? Candy? Oh, cool.
anywho,
that is so cool.
this is on my YouTube channel. It's got no views because like whatever. But this question
Watch it hit like 1,000 views. Go to Gyroshan's YouTube channel and type in vintage Pokemon pack opening, and boom.
Yeah.
Click like, comment, subscribe.
It was just so interesting that like I was going through old video footage that my parents had, and I found this video, and I'm like, there is actual pack opening footage of me as a 13-year-old boy. That's wild.
And on top of that, like you were opening Japanese product too. Like you weren't opening American product that you could just waltz into a card store and get. Like you were opening Japanese imported product. Like that is even cooler.
I know. I was the cool kid back in the day.
Anyway, are you the reason that Pokemon cards got banned at your school?
I was the reason that Pokemon cards got banned at my summer camp. Yes.
I don't ever remember Pokemon cards being banned at my school.
Oh, they were definitely
like,
banned.
I don't know if they were just like, because like when I started getting into Pokemon, like I was like 6, 5. And also like I got Pokemon cards secondhand too. So like, I don't know. I don't have any memories of like at school Pokemon. I remember having a neighbor that would play the video games with me, and he taught me the glitch in Gold and Silver, the trading glitch, how you can how you just can make duplicate Pokemon.
Oh, interesting.
It was clone Pokemon. I don't even know. Anyways, do you want to go on to the next question?
Yeah. This one's yours, Jake. Take it away.
This is from Chris. What card do you want to get reprinted? So, do you want to answer first, or do you want me?
I mean, I think the card that needs to get reprinted is all the A specs. The A specs need a reprint with a different foiling. I'm just gonna, and look, these aren't new cards. These aren't standard format. I think standard format cards have plenty of supply. To be honest, I don't think they need to reprint standard format. But if you want to talk about what they need to reprint, it's the ace specs.
Yeah, so just like, I mean, like in a box, maybe like for the 30th anniversary, Pokemon does like the history of Pokemon or whatever, and they make like special promos, but they have on the thing like the old set or whatever. That would be really, really cool. I doubt they do that. Because I don't think they actually care about expanded formats, so they're not going to do much for it.
I mean,
plus, if they want to do like memorable cards for the 30th anniversary, they're not really going to do trainers.
Yeah, they did do the one trainer in Celebrations though, the Team Rocket. trainer.
But that's like a supporter trainer, and that has Jesse, James, and Meowth on the front. Like, I mean, that's why they did that one.
This is the one thing I'll say about reprints in Pokemon, like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Both have a history of reprinting cards, and that's because both of those games have supported semi-eternal or eternal formats, meaning like you can play cards that are super old in actual formats that are supported. Pokemon has expanded, but like clearly, as you can see, they don't really support expanded right now. They never have to a high degree. But I'm hoping that with the rise of Gym Leader Challenge, and if expanded, if people start getting more and more of an interest in expanded as the years go on and they don't rotate it, I think Pokemon could actually make a lot of money doing like Magic does, like special reprint sets. Like a set that's like, hey, these are all the cards, not like super old, not like base and fossil or those type of reprints, but like, the black and white era, or whatever era you're allowed to play far enough back onwards, doing those reprints for those types of formats, I think once every 2 to 3 years at least, like I think that would actually be a really big deal for Pokemon.
I think that would be really, really nice too, because then that means the full arts from the black and white era can get a lot cheaper as well, because let me tell you, I'm still far away from completing the black and white era.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the nice thing is like with Magic, the reason people at first were like, don't do reprints, because they didn't want their older cards to lose value. But what actually happened is that the reprint versions of the cards, those were cheaper, but the originals were still expensive. So like for people who are like holding the oldest versions of cards, they'll still be fine. But like the new version will be cheap enough for like somebody like, you, Jake, if you want to get a version of the full art supporter.
I need that full art Colress.
But like if you
that's
if you
like
don't
$60.
Yeah, if you don't care what set it came from, like if it's from a reprint set, then you're like, no, I just want the card. I don't care if it's
as long as it looks the same. Like, I mean, obviously I don't care if the set number is different or if there's like a on it or whatever, but like that blue with the glass, like that's what I want.
Yeah. This one is from PokeKid Gaming, and he asks...
Wait, I didn't... Hey,
I
didn't say my reprint.
Oh, shoot. Okay, sorry.
Hey,
go.
Explain.
Expound.
I thought about this for a while. It's because, like, I made the questions, and I kept checking them and seeing if more people would do it. So I saw this question, like, 4 or 5 days ago. I started thinking about this.
Okay.
And I think the card that I want reprinted the most is Prism Star Ditto, but Radiant.
Yes.
Because Prism Star Ditto, for anyone who doesn't know, it was a basic little baby Pokemon that you could just put a stage 1 on top of it, any stage 1, and it would evolve into it. And it was played in so many different decks, like Pidgeotto Control played it while it was around, oh my gosh, there are other decks, like Naganadel decks with Blounds, like played it. Like, there were so many good ways to include that card, and I think especially with, us like in a format where one prizes are becoming a little bit popular, and like we're trying to make these Pokemon good. So like there are Pokemon Go set, like the face cards are the Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaurs, and stuff. They're stage 2s. Stage 2 is a little bit hard. So like if you have more outs to that, and plus it can give you a lot of those stage 1 options. For instance, the Wormadam deck Wormadam deck would be really, really cool with it and stuff like that. And, you know, the Radiant kind of follow the same thing as the Prism Stars do. So it would effectively be the same thing. I know we have Ditto V, but like Ditto V's not the same. Like that has to come from the discard. Like I'm talking about just have it down and slap a stage 1 on top of it. Or actually, I don't think you could rare candy stage 2 it. I think you had to put a stage 1 on top of it. I believe.
Maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. I can't remember exactly the rules.
I can't remember exactly, and that's my fault, but that's because, you know, I only played it with stage 1s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rereading the question now, and maybe what Chris was asking was, like, get reprinted to be in standard. And I agree. Ditto would be a great card. I don't know, though. I think they've reprinted most cards that people have been asking for. Like, there's, like, Roxanne as a spiritual reprint of N. We got Ultra Ball, right? Like, I think
they have given us a lot of like spiritual successors to some of those things, and a lot of like what people want in those cards to be reprinted, they're like really, really good cards.
Yeah.
And so like you bring them in again and they're going to be really, really good, you know? And so that's why they have Nerf versions, although I don't think it's fair to consider Nerf versions because I don't remember if it was Celios Network or Azul that said it, but somebody, a bigger content creator in the Pokemon competitive scene, said that it's kind of unfair to compare Luminion V to Tapu Lele V because they exist in different formats, they exist in different eras, so like their functions are a little bit different. Like Tapu Lele might not really excel in this format like it did, you know, in the Guardians Rising format in the Sun and Moon areas. So it's a very interesting like take, but I think when you talk about how people say like Roxanne is a nerfed N or something like that, or like or a nerfed Ace Trainer, or things like that, or like Eldegoss is a nerfed versus Seeker, you know, they can't exactly reprint those same cards, you know, because then they would have such a big impact on the meta. So they make like kind of smaller versions that not necessarily don't have an impact, but they don't necessarily have a niche impact either.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not as powerful, right? And I think that's fine. Like, the game designers realized, like, if they wanted to recreate a format that existed 6 years ago, then why are they designing it all, right? And there is some... And that's why I'm like, the reason Roxanne is nice is because you're not playing 4 of them. Because half the game, it's a useless card. So you're not going to put 4 of them in your deck. But you know what? You can put a Luminion and a Roxanne in your deck as like a 1 or a 2 of, and you can go get it when you need it, and it does exactly what you need, which is to give you the chance to come back. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's very interesting, the conversation of like reprints, but I will say we did call level ball on this podcast, so we do have some validity when we talk about things.
It's true. Okay, now Jake, PokeKid Gaming asks, what's your favorite set of Pokemon and why?
So my favorite set of Pokemon ever is Dream League. So people of the podcast may not know what that is. Dream League is one of the Japanese sets that morphed into Cosmic Eclipse when it came to the rest of the world. Dream League was the introduction of the character rares. Dream League also includes one of my favorite cards of all time, which is off camera. It's sitting on a shelf, on my bookshelf, but a Lily and Clefairy promo. It was a box topper promo, essentially, when you bought a booster box in Japan of Dream League, and it's one of my favorite cards of all time, and I just love that set so much. Like, I want to master set that set, which might be a little bit too late. I wasn't making too much money when Dream League, you know, right before it started getting up in prices, so I couldn't get them all, but I just love that set so much. It was so fun to open. Like, I've opened multiple boxes of them. You know, it's similar to how I feel about like Astral Radiance and Brilliant Stars. Like, you just get so many hits and you see so many different types of cards as well that it's just so fun to open. Like, every pack feels exciting.
I mean, for me, I am going to be so basic and just say base set.
Here's the thing, though. You were around.
I was around.
You were a coherent child when, you know, base set came out. You remember
I was like 11
everything.
or 12.
You weren't like, Yeah, like I was literally like 2 or 3, so I can't really say base set because
Yeah.
I didn't open packs until like
I opened
team up.
I opened here's the crazy. I don't know where all my cards are. I opened up a first edition box of base set. I literally got that. It was like my parents paid, extra money for the first edition version, but it wasn't crazy. And like, yeah, I opened so many base set cards, and yeah, it's just it has a special place mark because it was the first set. It was the first set I opened. Yeah, so
Yeah, I think you have a very valid,
reason.
point.
Yeah,
I think you have a very valid reason, Sean. I mean, it's kind of like what started it all.
Yeah,
almost. Wait, was that like the first thing of Pokemon that you opened?
Yeah.
That was like the very first thing of Pokemon you opened was those like base sets?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
was just curious. I was just curious.
That because I played the games, right? And then and then the card game was coming out. And so literally within the first week of the card game coming out, I was opening packs.
That's awesome.
Because before that I'd collected baseball cards as a kid too. So like I already went to card stores prior to Pokemon. And so yeah, that was just the whole zeitgeist, everything around base set that was my world for like a year or two.
I do remember opening packs of sports cards growing up. Because I also collected sports cards growing up, and I mean I wouldn't say that I'm as big of a sports fan as I am now, even though I work in sports now.
Yeah.
I just have other hobbies now. But sports, I had sports cards. I never went to like a card shop. Like I think at least when I like bought or when my mom bought cards at a card store, it was at like it was like at the Walmarts or whatever. But we got to keep going. I'm getting off topic, Sean.
Do you want to ask the next one?
This one is from Skittles. What has been your favorite format of the Pokemon trading card game, and what has been your favorite deck of all time to play?
Neither Jake or I have really experienced that many formats, to be honest. I would say to be honest, even though I haven't played a lot of this format, watching it, talking about it, the current format is my favorite format of TCG as a player. Just straight up. And then in terms of favorite deck, I mean, the only deck I've ever taken to a Pokemon Regionals was Firebox back in the day. Super fun to play. Yeah, it was Welder.
Was it Tord's version?
It was similar to Tord's version. It was like after Tord's version, there was like a bunch of changes, but like, yeah, it played Victini, it played a bunch of fire, it played a Blounds or two. Yeah, it was wild. It was a good time.
But I mean, Firebox was really, really fun. I remember playing that like on stream and stuff. Because I was streaming the game every single day back then. But I think my favorite format was Team Up to Cosmic Eclipse, mostly because that's when I feel like that's when I started like getting good at Pokemon, or like relatively good, and I had my best results in there. And my favorite deck was in that format, and it was Pidgeotto Rangaroo Control.
Yeah.
Because at that time, like Jesper Eriksson had just done really well. I can't remember what event it was, and he told me like the changes that he'd make in the list and like send me the list. Which, by the way, I don't think there were changes besides the deck list error that he had, and he had to put extra water energies in instead of stadium. So like the changes were just telling me what the stadium should have been. But anyways, playing that deck, it was the most rewarding that I've ever felt, and that was the format where like ADP was around, but it wasn't great because the way to play ADP was Keldeo ADP, and there was no Metal Saucer or anything like that, or like no water Pokemon acceleration thing. So you were manually kind of attaching every turn. So ADP was pretty much checked.
Yeah.
Right. Because you had like Articuno Cold Crush, the GX attack, you had, the Crushing Hammer, stuff like that. Your worst matchup was Tina Chomp, because Tina Chomp had the linear attack and things like that, and they could miss Magius with the Dust Stone to like get ahead on prizes and like really hurt you real quick. So that was the worst matchup, but it was still such a fun, rewarding format. And, Control wasn't too broken. It was good, but it wasn't too broken. Like, And then Belobo and Bryson Man got banned soon after Sword and Shield base set released because someone at Full Group Games made the Chinchino mill deck, and then the format turned to crap, Sean.
Okay. The next question from Marty. If you ever made a Pokemon Cube, what would it look like?
So I'll start this one first because I have no experience with a cube in any form or fashion, and I don't really know how cubes are made, in my honest opinion. I would love to do a cube one day, like participate in someone's cube, whether that's at like NAIC or something like that. Like, if you got a cube and you want to invite me, like, I'm in. But if I made a cube, I think I would want to do it from cards only before Black and White, because those are cards that I've never played with, like, in any capacity. You know, and I've played with Black and White cards because of Expanded, you know, things like that. So I want to play. Did you just almost fall out of your chair?
It's fine, Jake. It's fine.
Anyways, I want to play with like the Heart Gold, Soul Silver cards. I want to play with like the Fire Red, Leaf Green cards, you know, the Neo cards. I want to play with those old ones. So if I had a cube, I want to make it a cube of everything before Black and White.
I like that. Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off you on that one and say if I made a cube, like I have 8 decks that are based to Fossil. They're fun. At a certain point, maybe one day in the future, I will try to redo them. But I would probably make a cube that would be the first era of Pokemon, which would be base through the Neo sets. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
okay.
So it would be like the Watsi era, basically, like the pre-Pokemon taking over competitive play era.
You just have the Watsi Cube.
Yeah, and I'm sure those exist. Like I'm sure people like Omnipoke or others have probably have lists for those types of cubes. It's a very expensive cube to make.
Oh yeah, especially if you like have all the hollows and stuff.
Yes, but you know you could always print proxies.
Yeah, you could. But I do not blame anybody for like a cube or like retro decks if they want to print proxies or whatever. But the next question, Sean, this is from Gui. So, what is the best draw engine ever? Also, congrats on 100 episodes. I also saw this question many days in advance and thought about this many days in advance to have an answer. So I'll go first. Okay. I think the best draw engine ever was Zoroark GX. And you may be thinking like, Jake, that's just discard draw too. But I think it's everything else that Zoroark did in the format made it that much better of a draw engine, even if it wasn't based on draw. So like its attacks, right? I mean, like think about how many things Zoroark paired with in the Sun and Moon era. It just... Yeah. There was so much that went along with it, and it was so good for so long that even though, you know, it didn't draw as many cards as like Abysmal Hand Octillery, which is a very, very good draw Pokemon, or like or whatever, you know, but the discard draw too, you know, Chinchino, they called it when Chinchino first came out Trade Junior, you know, instead of Make Do, and that's because of Zoroark's influence, Zoroark's impact. So in my opinion, I'm going to have to say Zoroark GX.
I like the point that you made about the fact that it's a great draw engine, but it's also your main attacker, right?
Yeah, like it did great draw, but it also did so much more than just draw.
Because Chinchino does the same thing as Zoroark, right? So like, why don't we talk about Chinchino as the best draw engine ever? Well, it's because Chinchino does nothing as an attacker. It's like it takes up all these spaces on your bench.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that one. You're probably right for like the modern era of Pokemon. You're probably right that Zoroark is just the best. The only thing I would say separately of that is like I think Shaman EX, like the era.
Oh yeah, because Shaman's actually banned in Expanded.
Well,
I mean, there's some other things along with it
because of Scoop Up, but yeah, like the Shaman, like. Dedenne GX Shaman EX combo, when those were both in the same format, and it's not like a specific draw engine, but the fact that you have a draw up to 6, I think, or 7, and then discard and draw 6. Yeah. You have discard, draw 6, draw up to 6, and then if you combo that with things like Battle Compressor, and Versus Seeker, that makes for anybody who plays Expanded, that makes for insane draw power. So it's really that combo of cards that were never meant to be together, where like in one turn you can like, you know, Juniper, Dedenne, Shaman, now you Crobat, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And then all the while you're battle compressing 3 cards into your trash. You can do that 4 times in a turn, so that's 12 cards. 16.
Keep in mind for a little bit after Rebel Clash came out too, instead of using Crobat, because you just wouldn't use Crobat because Shaman was still legal at that point.
Yep.
Shaman's ability is once you're in your turn with this Pokemon. So like you can use 4 Shamans in a single turn if you've got the space for it and you got the card draw. So you could use Scoop Up Net and Scoop Up Net Shaman because Scoop Up Net doesn't allow GXs and Vs, but it does allow EXs. So you could scoop up a Shaman, put it down. You could like literally Shaman like 8 times in one turn if you wanted to.
Yeah. So I think that's, to me, the way that I know that draw engine, Pokemon knew it was OP, is because every draw Pokemon that came after that was not once per turn.
Yeah.
It was once per turn, right? They made
it was limited to no matter what, you could only play 1 Dedenne GX Dedenne change per turn.
So
you could only use the Dedenne change ability once per turn. So maybe Shaman really is like the best draw engine ever.
Yeah.
Because Shaman, I mean, when it was around in X and Y, I think Roaring Skies is when it came out. But I mean, it was used in everything at that time. And I didn't play with it, but I mean, it was really good, and it got banned.
And it existed in a set with Ultra Ball, right? Those two things existed at the same time. So it's like, oh, but you can only draw up to 6. But what if you have a bunch of cards? You have Ultra Ball. You're fine.
Exactly, and there were also cards. I don't know if Shaman and Propagation Execute ever existed in the same standard format.
I don't think it's
because it was. You don't think it ever did
not in standard? Yeah,
okay. I mean, they did in expanded.
Yeah.
But in standard, that would be insane. But let's move on to the next question, Sean. This is from Josh Esch. What booster sets do you think will lose in this year's rotation? So I think this is kind of an easier question.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of standard playability, it'll be Sword and Shield through what was the Darkness Ablaze?
So what Pokemon has done now, so in previous years, what they've done is they've rotated based on the set, but starting this year, they're going to start rotating based on the set letter that is on the bottom of your card. So if you grab your Rebel Clash Sonya, it's going to have a D mark next to the set symbol. So I think they're going to rotate D out. I don't know if they're going to rotate E out. I have a feeling that they'll at least do D. But like Chilling Rain is still going to be a part of it. Like
Battle Styles is going to be around.
Darkness Ablaze is also D.
Yeah.
I'm like fumbling through this deck looking at the cards. Battle Styles is E, so.
Yeah, so I think it'll be all the deregulations. So base set, Sword and Shield, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, and whatever came after Darkness Ablaze that year. I can't remember.
Vivid Voltage.
Yes, Vivid Voltage. So those 4 sets will definitely rotate technically. And the only things that would be like from that year that may stick around is if any of the like Shining Fates, I think, or Champions Path cards have an E regulation, they'll stick around. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But yeah, I mean, we both don't need to answer that question. That one is now answered. John, do you want to do the next one?
Yes, from Skittles. Question: how do you feel about changing Expanded to a rotated only format, whereby new cards don't get automatically added on release, but only after rotating from Standard? This way, Expanded isn't just Standard 2.0 with more items, and the counters enter the format at the same time.
I think if Standard turned into a rotated format, it would actually be Standard 2.0.
Yeah.
It would just feel like Standard, because we would just relive like a Standard format that happened a while ago, that kind of thing. So I think Expanded needs to go to like the Yu-Gi-Oh way and the Magic way, where they just ban cards. They just, if, you have this huge pool of cards and they just ban stuff. The problem with Expand is they don't pay enough attention to it.
Yes.
And they don't ban the things that need to be banned for whatever reason. Card accessibility, like Tropical Beach. You can't get Tropical Beaches.
Well, did you hear with PTCG Live, the issue with Tropical Beach? Did you hear about this?
Isn't Tropical Beach not supported in PTCG Live?
Well, I mean, it may not be supported yet, but like the idea that the expanded cards eventually will be added.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is they will not allow dusting for promo cards. And Tropical
Yes.
Beach is a promo. So once the switch
It is
happens,
only a World Championship promo.
and so once the switch, if it ever happens fully, and you can no longer trade, that means either you own Tropical Beach or you do not, and that is it forever.
Yeah.
That's insane
Which,
to me.
and I mean, like, if you want to play like Control and Expanded, you have to play Tropical Beach.
I mean,
Like that's a huge draw support, and I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, they just got to ban stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's how they should do Expanded, just like Yu-Gi-Oh, just like Magic and stuff. They should just ban stuff.
I think actually I agree with you, Jay. I think having it all enter the format at the same time, standard and expanded, I actually think that makes it feel weirder than standard. The only reason it feels like standard 2.0 is because certain attackers and cards are just so good. They are a pure power creep on the older versions of themselves, right? But things that you don't see, like, I don't know if the Inteleon engine is in any way good in
No,
expanded.
Shady Dealings is not good in Expanded because there's just so many better abilities to play over the years, and there's so many better combos to do. Like,
and you have Vileplume, right? That can turn off all abilities.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I think the only reason it feels like a 2.0 is that every now and again there's a card like ADP or I don't know, Pikarom that comes out that is just so freaking powerful that it doesn't matter what format it's in. So that does have this weird effect of warping a format to feel like standard, but in reality, I think that's just like a couple of top end cards. For the rest of it, it's like the mishmash is kind of what makes it wild.
Yeah, Expanded is weird, and they need to do something about it, Sean. But you know, some people wonder what you should do with your bulk cards, including Cam. What do you do with your? Do you do anything with your bulk cards that don't quite fit into decks you want normally to build? If so, what do you do? This will be a good question for like newer collectors and things like that of the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how you define bulk, but for me, whenever I open up packs, I try to pull out any cards like that, or especially rares or some uncommons that I think have some usability, even if they're not going to be like the biggest, coolest card ever. Like, example, the Bronzong, right? The one that lets you move metal energy around. That card hasn't really seen much play for a year, but all of a sudden, you have Dialga V-Star coming out, and people are like, wait a minute.
Maybe
if I combine this
metal
with Cheryl,
saucers in format,
right? Like if I combine that with Cheryl, this is some pretty crazy shenanigans. And the answer is, yeah, some of those cards, even if they don't have immediate use, grab a binder for those types of cards, put them in there, get like a play set if you can. But every other thing with bulk, I sell. I collect them for a certain amount of time until I have like several thousand cards, which is a lot. And then you can usually sell them for like, $20-$30 per thousand or something like that.
I don't know how it is now, just because I haven't opened nearly as much product and sending bulk places, but at least before the pandemic, it was 3,000 commons and uncommons in mint condition, so like good condition. 3,000 commons and uncommons would get you a booster box. You could trade that in for a booster box. And so, yeah, I mean, just like Sean, if I don't think the card is going to be competitively viable at all, aka hop, berry, like I'm just going to put it in the bulk and then eventually get a free box out of it.
Yep.
And get my money back a little.
And for that, there's lots of sellers online that will buy your bulk. But if you can find a local store, you can save yourself some shipping cost. I'm lucky enough in New York that I have locals that do that. So look around, ask around. Yeah,
and even some of your people, like my local league back in Indianapolis, the tournament organizer, the professor, he would take people's bulk and then take care of it. So yeah. Anyway, Sean, let's move on.
Okay, this question is from James Sims again. Did you ever think that when you both started a podcast, it will become as big a thing as it is? Great pod, by the way. Listen to it every week.
Do you want to start it off, or do you want me to?
I want to know what you think, Jake. I want to know where your head was at, because I approached you about doing the pod, and I want to know.
So I like to think when I do projects, like I take it seriously and like I go in, but I think the Metapod podcast is the only like kind of, I guess we'd call this big time project, is the only like big time project that I took it seriously but took it not seriously.
Yeah.
Like for the entire time, like there's a reason why we don't have like heavy advertisements or stuff like that in here. Is like I just want to sit for an hour with my friend and I just want to talk about Pokemon cards. Like that's what I want to do. And so I know I never thought we would have, you know, over 1,000 listeners every week. You know,
we're giving away our stats.
mind-boggling.
We're giving away our stats right now, but yeah, I mean,
I'm not giving specific numbers, but like to give perspective, like, you know, some people like will hear 1,000, and I thought about this last night when I went to bed. You know, some people will think like 1,000, and they'll be like, you know, Ludwig has 300 million subscribers, whatever. And I'm like, I think of like 1,000 people in a room, and they all like 1,000. I think of it this way: like each of our 1,000 hypothetical listeners all went to this room to go hear me and this guy over here talk about Pokemon cards. Like, how freaking cool is that? That so many people want to do that. So, like, I don't know. It's just mind-boggling to me. Like, 1,000 in the grand scheme of content creation might not be like a big number, but to me, like, that's a huge deal. I never thought we would be this size.
I'm gonna echo that. I never thought. I mean, in terms of as big a thing, I think it's definitely. I expected some level of like, because, you know, we were both going to put in, you know, the level of effort that is required of doing it well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't miss weeks usually.
No. And from the beginning.
Sometimes we individually miss weeks, but like we usually, there's not very many times where we've not had an episode in a week.
And I think from the beginning, we both had a pretty high standard of like, we wanted to at least, whatever we put out there will sound good, you know, look good, like very straightforward. But yeah, like podcasts are they are kind of niche, especially in an already niche hobby. So the idea that like any number of people listen to, especially me and you, who like we've never won a regional, we've never topped a regional, like you know, we're just a couple of dudes who like
we're literally just a couple dudes that like talking about Pokemon, like
right. So I think we're both at least I can speak for myself, very grateful that like people actually like enjoy listening to us and like, you know, hopefully think that we have some interesting opinions.
Yeah, it's great. And thank you so much for the compliment on the pod. Hopefully you enjoy it every week, James. But this one is from Appa. I know who this is.
Yes.
Have both of you reached your goals for the podcast and in your lives in the time frame of 100 episodes? So Sean, you should answer this question first.
Yeah, in terms of my goals, I think I didn't really have many goals, to be honest. Like the one goal, actually, I have one goal that I have not achieved, and I want to meet Jake in person.
Okay, but there was a worldwide pandemic that spawned that doesn't count. Like,
but it is a goal.
We can't say that we didn't complete that goal.
I'm not saying I failed. That is a goal that I still have not reached. And so I would love to do that. And I would love to have a live podcast recording at an event, you know, at a regional, hopefully somewhere where like however many people that happen to be there and also listen to the pod, if you want to wander into a small conference room at a hotel, that would be lovely, you know, like,
yeah.
Or if it's like just going out to dinner with like however large that group might be, I don't know, or karaoke. That's the only goals. But from otherwise, like, I'm very happy. It's been very, it's been just a wild ride, and I'm down for it.
I will say, I did not have a single goal for this podcast.
Yeah.
I did not. I'm not kidding. I did not. Like, when I say, like, I just wanted to get on a mic and talk Pokemon cards with some dude, like, I'm serious. Like, that's just what I want. And maybe that's a goal. Maybe that's a goal in itself, you know, talk 100. I never thought we would make it to 100 episodes, to be honest, Sean.
No.
Like, I didn't really know who you were when you approached me, and like we didn't really know each other at all. And like, you could have been a weirdo. I mean, I am a weirdo, but like,
I mean, I think that's what people don't know. We don't know each other outside of this. Like, we've never spent time together.
We never met. Like, we never collabed on content or anything. It's just like I was creating like Twitch stuff in the mornings, and Sean was making YouTube videos and stuff. And one day he just like DM'd me and he was like, "Do you want to talk about Pokemon cards on a podcast?" And I was like, "All right, let's do an episode. Let's see how it is."
Yeah.
And then that's just how it went.
Next one is Josh from Team Fish Knuckles, I believe. So he asked, favorite and hardest part of doing 100 episodes. Congrats on 100 episodes, and can't wait for the next 100. Much confidence. Jake.
I can't wait for the next 100 either.
Favorite and hardest part of doing 100 episodes.
So my favorite part, we're gonna get real cheesy, but I'm super glad that we've like kept this casual.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, like we don't do like heavy advertising. Like, yeah, we did the Manscaped thing for a while and that was fun, talking about Pokeballs and things like that. That was kind of fun. But, we've kept this as just like, this is my favorite thing to do like every week. Like I am a super busy person, and this kind of plays into the hardest thing, like scheduling.
Yeah.
Like I graduated college, I got a full-time job. Sean is a man, like he's a busy dude. Like
we both have lives.
The hardest part is trying to manage the podcast, but my favorite thing about the podcast is it's my favorite thing to do every week. Like even when I wasn't like making Twitch stuff really, and like when I wasn't making YouTube videos and like stuff, I still made time like every week to jump on, or most weeks to jump on this podcast and talk about it, because I love doing it. That's why we've lasted 100 episodes, is because like I hope you love doing it, Sean.
Do.
But I mean the reason that I've stayed is because I love it.
Yeah, look, anybody who follows any of my content knows very well that I am bad at being consistent, and despite all of that, we have done 100 episodes in just barely over 2 years. Which, if you think about that, that's like only 3 or 4 weeks of missed episodes. So
yeah,
like you make the time. And yeah, I think making the time sometimes is the hard part, because Jake and I both like, can you do it in the morning? Can you do it in the evening? But for the most part, I think we are very accepting of like, as long as we ask each other in advance, like a day or two, we figure it out. We're like, we'll figure out a time, even if it's 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, we'll make the podcast.
And it's like, we both acknowledge that we're super busy.
Yeah. Right.
Like today's a really good example. At the time of this recording, I asked Sean if he could do it in the evening, because I got promoted. Like, I don't think I've said it on this podcast. I got promoted. So like I have a lot more work to do in the mornings. So my mornings are not as free. And he was like, yeah, I can make 5 p.m. recording work, like, because he respects that. And so scheduling, in my opinion, is the hardest part about it all.
Jake, last question.
I think this is a good ender. Kind of PokeKid Gaming and Fletchling both ask this question. What future goals do you have for the podcast, Sean? We've hit 100. Now we got to go to another 100. Hopefully. How do you plan to keep it interesting and fun? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first, because we've been...
Okay.
I think for me, the only goals I have currently, outside of the ones I said before, really, there's a couple of video ideas that aren't just podcasts that I've talked to Jake about, that now that Jake, one, has a proper promotion job, like a nice...
I have solidified life
income
to have some stability.
And I have a job as well now where I have income. So I think we might be able to do some of these videos, and they're not going to be so outrageous, but they'll definitely be fun. So that's...
I'll tell you right now, I'm not spending $60,000 on a Neo Destiny box or whatever it is.
No.
We're not doing stuff like that, but like, I can buy a booster box every set and not feel like I'm going to have to choose between heat and electric or whatever.
So yeah, in terms of future goals, there are some videos I want to make. The audio portion of the cast, I think it's not a goal, but we need to have more people on to join us from time to time. I think that's,
Yeah. I think this kind of plays into what I said about the hardest part is like scheduling. Cause like it's hard enough to schedule us, and it's even harder for us to schedule another human being, like, in the month of May so far, Or no, yeah, like in the month of May, like I think I spent like more time out of my apartment than I did in my apartment because of work, you know? So like that was really, really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But Jake.
But I think my future goal is to just keep this podcast being fun, you know, like keep it casual. I mean, like we take it seriously, like I was saying earlier, but like, keep it fun, you know, have a good time. You know, people say, you know, in the reviews, and I mean, we're like one of the most reviewed Pokemon podcasts on like Apple iTunes, Sean, like, because we just have fun. And I think people have fun along with us. So like, I want to be the very best, like no one ever was, sure. But I want to have the most fun, like no one ever was. You know, I just want to have a good time. Listening to this.
I like that, Jake. I want to have the most fun, like no one ever had. You know?
Yeah, like I want people to look forward to the podcast because they enjoy like the fun that we have. You know, like we're going to talk about the competitive stuff. We're going to talk about collecting stuff, you know, like we always do. But I want people to get excited because like, you know, oh, they're going to release a new episode. Like we're going to have so much fun. They're going to yell at each other about, you know, what if we really yelled at each other for?
I mean, we probably argue about whether or not certain decks or cards are good or bad, probably.
Yeah, we probably have done that, but to keep it interesting and fun, like Sean has kind of mentioned some of the things, you know, of like talking to other people. We both have agreed that we want more guests on.
Yep.
And hopefully here soon we're actually can get some guests. Again, a little bit hard with scheduling, and I'm about to leave. I'm literally about to leave my apartment for 2 weeks, like here this weekend. So it's just crazy, but yeah, like we try our best, like just to keep it fun. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Just to keep it fun.
Well, Jake, speaking of keeping it fun, should we keep it fun, wrap it up, let all these wonderful listeners go on about their merry day?
Thank you so much for listening to the 100th episode of the Metapod podcast. I don't know if I would have said yes if you asked me in episode 1 if we would make it to 100 episodes. Don't know if I would have said yes to that question, but I'm glad that we did, Sean. Thank you so much for being with me. 100 episodes, and here's to the next 100 to the podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. Have a great rest of the day.